What's cracking, everybody? Ralph here, and today I'm in my hometown down at the beach where the surf's smashing in with a really good mate, Rauri Barron. So we've hooked up today to come down to take some epic images of a surf that is pumping and smashing against these volcanic rocks. Stick around, it's going to be a blast.
Oh, it's so good.
You ever heard the Aussie term frothing? I think this is where it comes from. The surf's about 2 to 3 meters, and yet the waves are smashing in to create this beautiful froth. It's pretty cool to behold. Today the challenge is to balance the contrast between the dark black rocks and the sea, and capture the beauty of the sky. This is a little bit different to what you normally might shoot.
Oh yeah, I mean, awesome spot. Same as all seascapes though, you got to be pretty quick.
Yep.
You know, sun's changing. But what an awesome spot with these large black boulders. You said it's molten rock or something?
Yeah, volcanic rock.
Volcanic rock.
These actually big ones, this massive one next to us, they fell down from right at the top of the hill.
Oh, nice.
And they still do.
The black rock contrasts really well with like the white ocean. Yeah, lovely, awesome spots. Thanks for introducing there, mate.
Oh no, pleasure. Really good.
Bloody awesome. So I mean, I had a little shot there that I was composing a rock in the foreground, the sun in the background, which was changing super fast. So I only worked on one composition today. I don't know about you.
I did the same.
Yeah.
I rarely do that, but I realised early on I was locked in. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I've got to get this right. So it was good challenge. So one composition I had it by the end of today, and we'll see how it works out. I'm going to use different parts of it as the light came up.
So a bit of exposure, bracketing.
Yeah, that's right.
Same.
We're still about 20 minutes off sunrise, and at the moment the tide is mid-tide, so it's going down, and yet I'm probably 10 feet away from where the water comes in, and I'm sensing a bit of splash coming. So got to be careful about that. So do not want to write my camera off because it got smashed by seawater. That'd be totally lame. We want to talk about our top 3 tips.
Yep.
And obviously when it comes to landscape photography, there's a multitude of things you can say, which is why we have channels that talk about those things. However, my tip number 1 is what we did not do today, which is chase the high cloud. So when you come to take a sunrise or a sunset, you want really high cloud and lots of it, not 100%, but 80%. And it means the sky just lights up, the sky gets set on fire. We didn't get that this morning, and that's part of the challenge of scheduling a shoot, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, a week in advance, and it was meant to actually be rainy today.
That's right.
And we got the complete opposite. It's clear, it's beautiful.
Love the Goldie. And the surf is just glorious.
The waves are awesome, they're huge, and the lights behind them, which is great as well. My first tip is about scouting the location beforehand. So maybe get there the day before when it's bright to, you know, work a composition and figure out what you want to compose, as it can be really hard to compose in the dark for sunrise shoots, especially at the beach. So another thing that we didn't do today. Yeah. So we got here at about 4:30, walking down these black rocks, and it was pitch black. So, and we didn't scout this location beforehand, so we failed there as well. But normally, that's what you'd do: is scout the location the day before or sometime before and work on a composition, so you're not tripping over in the dark.
We could actually, both of us, watch this video afterwards and just implement the tips, and we'd be better photographers. Here's the challenge of the shot. You've got to balance a couple of things. The dark contrast of the rocks as it contrasts with the white of the sky, and the surf mid-ground. So you've got a high dynamic range, that's called, where it's really, really white and really, really black. This is how many stops of dynamic range we have. We've got maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stops of dynamic range, folks. That's a lot. That's a lot. The other challenge is you've got composition. So what do you actually shoot? Like, look how beautiful it is. I don't know, where do you start? Yep, I'm with you. Too many options. My second tip would be a straight horizon. It's the easiest thing to do in post. So there's a setting in Lightroom where you can automatically adjust it. On cameras, most cameras these days, on the back screen they have a green line. You can just eye test, make sure the space on the left is the same as the space on the right. If it's just off a bit, nowadays it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I never used to notice it, and now I can pick it at 1,000 meters on Instagram. It's just like, oh, just that little bit, and it adds so much to the shot. It levels you and you can engage with it rather than being distracted.
Yeah, that's a massive one. All right, my second tip is to get there early, just like we did today.
Really early.
We got here really early, before blue hour, and that's the point, is that blue hour you can often get some great shots even at the sea, But for sunrise, get there early and take shots throughout that change, throughout the blue hour into golden hour, and then stay afterwards as well, because sometimes the clouds can just light up. So make sure you get there early.
You often find 15 minutes after what you think is the shot, you get the shot.
It
just
blows
hanging
up
out for that longer.
when you get that high cloud you mentioned.
Yeah.
So yeah, those two go well together.
Awesome. When you've got your composition set, you then want to take into account the middle ground. And the mid ground is changing all the time with the surf. So you basically want a good set coming in. You want some splash factor on this rock, just like this. And then you want to capture the light on these rocks. If I'm lucky, I'm going to capture Rauri. He's going to be middle of my frame as he's vlogging away there. We'll be in the background. I wonder if he's got his aperture on really low. I just wave in the background. He'll hate that later on. My third and final tip is about a subject that tells a story. You can take a photo of something, but you want it to be about something. You want it to draw you into that's what was happening. And so today we've got a bunch of surf that's smashing. So I wanted to catch some of the action of that water hitting the rocks, so people could go, oh, that's what it was like that day. We had this beautiful froth and texture coming onto the rocks. I wanted to capture some of that. And then just generally, it's easy to take a photo, say, of a plant, but if that plant is caught by the light and it's dipping down and there's some water on it or an insect, it adds something to it. You're like, oh, there's something happening.
Draws you into the scene,
exactly, doesn't it? And that's my heart with, I think, all photography is it's not just to take something, not a photo of something, but about something that captures it.
Oh, I love that, mate.
When you start, you've actually got to take a photo that's a base shot that focuses in on this rock here, and as you focus in on this rock, watch this, your light meter changes as opposed to focusing up here where your light meter changes to this. When I'm creating this base image of the rocks, I'm waiting for a nice glow. So we've got a nice glow now. I then focus right in the corner, so the closest point to me. Actually, I'll focus just here. And then what I'm doing is I'm overexposing so that you pick up some of the color. So I take a base shot, and then I put my hand in front of the camera. I take another shot like this, so that afterwards I can actually tell which one my base shot is. So yeah, you see the textures and the colors in the rock, and then I can enhance that later on when I get home. As you increase your exposure, the colors wash out, and as you decrease your exposure, the colors come in. And landscape photography, especially of sunrise and sunset, is all about the color, folks. It's all about the color. I'm shooting on ISO of 100 as always. My f-stop's at about 10, and my shutter is varying up and down. That rock right in front of me is my subject, and because of that subject, I'm going to wait till something interesting happens like this. See a bit of a flurry of what I'm actually talking about and then carrying on about. And then I'm going to slow the shutter speed down to catch some of this nice froth. Today is about capturing the action and the textures.
My third tip is all about experimenting. And with sunrise photography and seascapes as well, try and experiment. And what I mean by that is don't just shoot straight into the sun. Maybe look at a different direction. The sun's catching the city that's behind you, but also experiment with your shutter speeds. Try some quicker shutter speeds, really capture that motion and capture what's happening in the scene with the ocean or the sun rays or the clouds. But why not try a really long exposure as well and see what it looks like with those smooth clouds and smooth water for some abstract photography. So experiment. Try not to just sit there and shoot one thing like we did again today, fail, but just try different things if you have the time, of course. So experiment is my third tip.
Awesome, man. Love it. It's really good. I think that's what brings the creativity to photography, isn't it? It's the fun of it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, what if you did this? And you just stumble on and move into new territory that you might not normally have had.
And that's the great thing about these cameras is you can do those things, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it costs you nothing. One of the things I love about this location is how the light shimmers off and reflects off of the rocks. And so you have this beautiful golden light reflected as the sun comes up, and the sun is now bursting through the clouds and looking most epic, might I say. Tell us how you got into YouTube. What was the trigger?
Well, I've always been watching these YouTube landscape photographers, and I've always found it inspirational, but I rarely had the time to get out and shoot. Work, life, family. So I needed some, I guess, incentive, and I had to force myself. So I started the YouTube channel mainly for two reasons. One is to force myself to get out there and shoot more. And the second thing was to be part of a community. In my friend circle, I don't have many photographer friends, so I wanted to join a community and meet people like yourself that are passionate about creativity and photography, nature, and just getting out there and trying new things and pushing yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But, you know, a community of like-minded people, and I saw that on YouTube, so, you know, I thought I'd join it, give it a go, and I think I've seen an improvement over the last year, but it's been so fun doing it as well, meeting people who have the same passion. So that's why I started.
It's such a cool thing, hey, the community. I underestimated how significant it would be. And you meet people that there's no other way you'd really get to connect with them.
Right.
And fellow creators who kind of see the world a lot like you see the world.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what about yourself?
I'm in an RN for a long time.
Yeah.
The mates I shoot with, out of jest, was saying I should.
Oh, nice.
Which was always
do it.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, we'd love to make you watch you make a fool out of yourself. Let's see that. And then COVID struck, and I realized I knew a bunch of things about video that could help everybody that was being forced online.
Right.
And so I created a video about how to film yourself really well with no gear.
I remember that video.
And that was the first kind of where it started. And that actually got a bit of exposure. And I thought, oh, then maybe there's something in this.
Yeah.
And so I did a couple of follow-ups about audio and lighting for that, and then went, all right, let's leap into this world. What your third point was about. It's about experimenting and learning and growing. And you, as we were saying, you look back on your earlier stuff, you're like, oh gosh,
God.
what was it doing?
Do I delete it?
And I imagine in a couple of years, we'll look back on how it was now and be like, oh wow, I still had a long way to go. But
always improving.
Yeah, exactly. I think it makes what we do accessible to the world, and my heart is that somebody who's just getting into it will be able to stumble upon my channel and go, oh, I can learn, and this is how you do it, and really engage in that art form and find their own voice, their own perspective and creativity, but be helped by some of the things I've learned. You see Rauri in the background. So Rauri is a dynamic photographer. He's been doing YouTube for about a year. He has an amazing eye for composition. He will tell you that's the hardest thing for him to work on, but I will tell you that he really has an eye for it. So I encourage you to check out his channel. He does a lot of landscape photography where he'll walk to some beautiful location, he'll talk it through, he'll explore the different shots that are there. And I would encourage you, if you're looking to improve your photography when it comes to landscapes and making the most out of a setting, then Rauri's your guy. His channel link will be in the description below. It'll be at the end of this video. One of the cool things about this particular shoot today is I was contacted by mates of mine at the Boots for One and All community. They're a charity that help the Indigenous communities in Australia. They send a bunch of footy boots and jerseys and stuff. They do all they can to help struggling families in the outback. They asked me if I would actually supply an image for an auction and raffle and whatever. And so I've been just wondering what the right one is, and I think today is it. So I'm going to take this image and I'm going to print it up nice and big for him and give it to him, because there's something about the beauty that we can behold in photography that when it's shared with others, when it benefits others, when it blesses others, it meets the fulfillment of its purpose and why it's actually there. We shouldn't ever take photos just for our appreciation. We should share them because this is a beautiful world we live in. There is in need for more beauty in this world, and the more we can share that in all forms, the better this place will be for all of us to live in. So thanks for coming and creating with me. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd love that. Give a thumbs up below. Check out Rauri's channel, he's a legend, and I'll see you soon.
Well, my third tip, hang on. Vlogging is hard.
You always take crap photos when you vlog because you're vlogging.
Oh, shocker. Why did I put that up?
Well, look at my early Insta stuff. I'm like, oh wow, I thought that was good. So true.
DAs, smash. Like, wow, I'm an artist.
Yeah.